Good afternoon, guys. My name is Alina Shaltsova. I'm an immigration attorney from New York. In today's video, we're going to talk about the hard decision we received this past Sunday from the Senate Parliamentarian, who ruled no to the Democratic plans on including immigration reform within the budget reconciliation provisions. I'm going to talk to you about why she ruled this way. I'm going to talk to you about what's going to happen next if Democrats can ignore her decision, and what alternatives they may have and may present before her, or what alternative we all have in the meantime. So thank you very much for watching. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel to stay updated with regard to the most recent immigration news. I also share my tips on various points of the United States immigration law. Please hit like, share this video, and let's start. So for the past week or so, we all were waiting on Senate Parliamentarians' decision on whether or not immigration provisions that would substantially change the United States immigration policy would be allowed, or rather appropriate, to be included in the reconciliation budget proposal. Previously, the Senate Parliamentarian met with both Democrats and Republicans. Both sides presented their arguments before her, and then we all were waiting on her ruling. Now, her ruling is a suggestion. It's not mandatory to follow it by the Democrats, but from what I understand and researched, rulings of the Senate parliamentarians usually are observed and followed. Now she ruled no. We learned about it on a Sunday, just past Sunday, yesterday. Her ruling came during time of crisis at the border, when thousands of people from Haiti were gathered at the United States-Texas border, awaiting for being allowed to come potentially to the United States. But the United States decided that these people will not be allowed to come to the United States, but rather will be expelled. And on a Sunday, they started gathering these people and flying them back to Haiti. And on the same day, the Senate Parliamentarian, I'm not sure if it's a coincidence or not, ruled that she believes that the reform cannot be a part of the reconciliation bill. Why? Why would she rule that? Well, according to her, the immigration policy change would affect so many families in the United States and will be so drastic that its impact would be much higher than the impact on the United States budget. And that's why we received a no from her. Now, what's going to be happening next? Does it mean that there is no way that immigration reform provisions will be included in this upcoming budget? Well, here we're facing possibilities. Possibility number one, the Democrats will proceed with the immigration reconciliation provisions and drafts as they were presented before us, and will ignore the referee's decision. In fact, already there are calls to do so. Is it possible? Absolutely. But how likely it is to happen? I would say that it's not likely to happen. Why? Because it basically would undermine the process of how the government works and how the elected officials work, and how that referee process is working, and the trust in the entire system. So I think that the likelihood of Democrats just ignoring the decision is slim to none. One more alternative that is already being mentioned by Charles Schumer is to alter or change the proposal, perhaps making it a little bit more narrow. So the impact of it for immigration policy will be not that significant, meaning that it will not affect that many people. So what can be done actually? Well, a number of things can be done. You may have heard of registry. Registry is the law that I believe started in the United States back in 1929, when it was announced that those who came in 1921, a gap of just 8 years, if they had good moral character, will be able to receive permanent residency in the United States. The last time registry was used was in 1986, and it was said that those who came to the United States and resided here permanently from 1972 would be allowed to seek permanent residency, a gap of 14 years. Since 1986, registry has not been renewed in the United States, and of course, it's one of the quickest ways to provide certain solutions for certain groups of people, groups who are deserving, right? Because to qualify for registry, you have to show prolonged residence in the United States. So registry may be a good option. Another good option may be 245I, or grandfathering provision, that last time was used back in 2000. In fact, it was supposed to be renewed right before 9/11, but because of the 9/11, it never happened. And 245I provision that would allow somebody to qualify for adjustment of status in the United States, despite the lack of legal entry, and despite the fact that they perhaps worked without authorization in the United States or overstayed their visa, would allow them to get green cards. It would be another very good option that representatives may use in this situation. A couple of more suggestions. How about increasing visas for cancellation of removal applicants? Because right now we only have 4,000 of those visas per year, and allowing cancellation of removal to be applied for before USCIS rather than before an immigration judge. So a person would avoid the need to go to immigration court to file for cancellation of removal. And perhaps changing approach to the unlawful presence bar. Unlawful presence bar is the situation where a person who resided without status in the United States, either because they fell out of status or perhaps they came to the United States without inspection to begin with, they accumulated 180 or more than a year of unlawful presence days. And if they leave the United States, they will be inadmissible for 3 to 10 years, 3 or 10 years, depending on how much time unlawful presence they got in the United States. And because of that, they would need a waiver, I-601A waiver. But first of all, not every person would qualify for I-601A waiver, because, for example, if there is an employer who would like to sponsor somebody who is single and doesn't have any family members in the United States, such a person would not qualify for I-601A waiver. Because to qualify for it, you would have to demonstrate you have a qualifying family member, a spouse or parent who are US citizens or lawful permanent residents. So if we would change the approach to unlawful presence, let's say perhaps you will be able to show hardship to yourself when you're applying for a waiver, or you do not need to apply for a waiver to begin with. That would be a great help for many. This is just a couple of suggestions. I'm sure we have smarter than me people working on immigration reform in our country. And I'm going to follow the updates from the White House, who, by the way, suggests that the ruling, even though it's disappointing, may be overcome, maybe not so drastic as we all perceive it. And of course, we're going to follow the updates from the Republican Party that may come out with their own proposal. And then perhaps the opposition to the reconciliation provisions is not going to be so fierce. So we'll see what's going to happen. If I were you, I wouldn't lose all hopes at this particular time. But of course, remember, we still have some things that are good, that they were already used, implemented, and developed by the Biden administration. like prosecutorial discretion. For example, if you are in immigration court, you may ask prosecutors to perhaps administratively close your case or terminate the case or give you more time for something. It's a very good tool. It's not an application that you can file for using a certain form or pay a fee, but it's an opportunity to ask for some leniencies, right? Also, some policies changed, like work permits for those who are filing for adjustment of status now are given for 2 years instead of 1 year. The time for conditional residence of automatic extension for their conditional residency also increased from 18 months to 24 months. Little change, but it does help, and so on and so forth. So stay updated, follow the news. If you find this information helpful, please follow my channel, and I hope to see you soon.